Good evening and welcome. You found the quiet room. Tonight's story proves that a lack of introspection and accountability can prove to be deadly. That sometimes all it takes for your demons to catch up is meeting the right person at the wrong time. Please, have a seat. This is Divine Reckoning. Listen closely. The club breathed. That was the only way Deus could describe it. The way the walls pulsed with bass, the way the lights inhaled and exhaled color, the way bodies moved together like one enormous creature that lived only at night. New Orleans had welcomed them with wet heat and laughter that spilled into the streets, and Deus loved every second of it. He always did. Standing at 6'2" and built like a sculpture someone had clearly taken their time with, Deus was used to attention. Bourbon skin that drank in the light, curly black hair that never quite behaved, a smile that knew exactly what it could do. He moved through the world with confidence of a man who had never been told no in any way that mattered. Relationships had never interested him. Desire did. He favored the hunt. His charm was practiced, effective, an agreeable mask for a man who rarely considered anyone beyond himself. He left cities with memories and women with questions. He told himself it was honest, no promises, no lies. But there were names he no longer allowed himself to think about. Tonight was supposed to be no different. His friends were already deep into their drinks, shouting over the music, laughing too loud. Deus scanned the crowd with a practiced eye, searching for someone beautiful enough to make the night worth remembering. Then he saw her. The world didn't stop. The music didn't cut out. But something shifted, subtle and unmistakable, like the second before a storm breaks. She was small, delicate in a way that made the space around her feel intentional. Skin the color of milk chocolate, glowing softly beneath the light, as if lit from within. Her eyes, God, her eyes, they looked like pools of melted gold, deep and knowing. Her afro rested on her shoulders, defying gravity while obeying it all at once. Deus forgot to breathe. He had seen beautiful women, hundreds of them, but this was different. This was recognition without memory, familiar without reason. Something moved inside his chest, unsettling and electric. Before he could think better of it, he was moving toward her. She noticed him immediately, not with surprise, but with expectation. They didn't speak at first. They danced. The music wrapped around them, and their bodies found a rhythm that felt older than the song itself. Her movements were fluid, deliberate. She did not cling to him. She didn't perform for him. She danced like the moment belonged to her, like he was lucky to be allowed into it. When she finally leaned in, her voice did not flirt, it pressed. There was a weight to it, like standing too close to something vast. Her words didn't just reach his ears, they settled into him. "What's your name, handsome?" "Deus," he said, smiling. And yours? Divine. The name carried more than sound. It carried certainty. They danced longer than he intended, longer than was safe. When he finally suggested they go upstairs to the upper deck, somewhere quieter, she considered him for a moment, then nodded. Up above, the music softened into a distant heartbeat. The city pressed against the windows, dark and alive. They leaned against the railing, close enough to feel each other's warmth. They flirted easily, effortlessly. Deus leaned in, lowering his voice. I'm staying right here on the strip, the Marriott. We could keep this conversation going there. It's much more comfortable. She smiled, slow and amused. No. He blinked in surprise. No. I don't go to hotel rooms with men I've just met. That's smart, he said smoothly. But you don't strike me as scared. I'm not scared, she replied. I'm selective. He laughed. What's the difference? She turned to face him fully now. I am a goddess, sir, she said calmly. Any man who courts me better come correct. He laughed again, already certain he understood her. Is that because your name is Divine? She tilted her head. That's one interpretation. My name means divine too, he said, grinning. Seems like that should count for something. She stepped closer to him, so close he could smell her. Warm, sweet, something floral and dangerous. Well then, she said softly, her voice bending the space between them. Let's see how powerful you are. She kissed him. It was soft, firm, deliberate, not rushed, not hungry. It felt like touching something vast, like pressing a hand to the surface of the universe and realizing it could press back. The world tilted. When she pulled away, she traced his cheek with her thumb, warm and deliberate. Her gaze held his like she was taking inventory of his soul. If you can survive the night, she said gently, I might just give you a chance. Then she stepped around him. By the time he turned, she was already gone. Downstairs, his friends noticed immediately. You good? One of them asked. She shut you down, huh? Deus shook his head, forcing a laugh. Something like that. They brought another round, then another. The music swallowed him again. The feeling faded, dulled by alcohol and noise. By the time they stumbled back to the hotel, the night felt ordinary again. He collapsed onto the bed, head spinning. The clock glowed on the nightstand. 2:30 a.m. Darkness took him. Deus bolted upright, heart hammering. The clock read 3 a.m. Someone was pounding on his door like the building was on fire. All right, he shouted, dragging himself up. I'm coming. He yanked the door open. The hallway was empty. He stepped out, squinting down both directions. Nothing. No footsteps, no laughter, no running friends. What the hell? He muttered. He shut the door and turned towards the bed. This time the sound came from everywhere. He rushed to the peephole. Nothing. He flung the door open again, anger rising. No one. Then he saw her. At the far end of the hall stood a young woman, familiar but distorted. She was naked, her hair dripping, her face unfocused and shifting, like a memory his mind wouldn't let him hold. The door slammed shut behind him. He grabbed the knob and twisted, panic rising as it refused to move. Every light in the hall flickered at once. The woman's head snapped up, and then she was running. Fear detonated in his chest, and he took off. The hallway stretched unnaturally long. Doors began to open as he passed, and women stepped out, dozens of them, hundreds. Faces he recognized, faces he had forgotten. One-night smiles, tearful arguments, texts left unanswered. They reached for him, narrowly missing as he darted through the crowd. They spoke. "You said it didn't mean anything. You promised you'd call. You said you weren't seeing anyone else." Their voices layered, overlapping, a chorus of hurt and fury. The walls closed in. The air grew heavy. He turned a corner and stopped. There she stood. The woman he had loved the longest, the one who believed in him, the one who had called him crying, asking why she wasn't enough just before she did the unthinkable. He gasped, and the name he no longer allowed himself to speak dripped from his lips like hot lead. "Mara." "You cheated on me," she said softly, "when I was breaking." Her eyes were empty, the wounds on her wrists still dripping. I didn't know," he whispered. "I swear I didn't know it would." "You knew," she said. "You just didn't care." The floor dropped away. Deus slammed down hard, only to find himself sprawled in the hallway of another floor of the hotel. The carpet was pristine, the lights steady, too normal, empty. He scrambled to his feet and sprinted down the corridor to the elevator. He jabbed at the button again and again. Nothing. No chime, no flicker, just silence. Then, a door opened somewhere behind him. Before he could turn, before his mind could assemble the fear, she was there, standing impossibly close. Her eyes were wrong, wide as dinner plates, bottomless pits that swallowed the light around them. She stared straight into his face, unblinking. Deus ran. He burst through the emergency stairwell door and began to descend, taking the steps 2 at a time. The door slammed behind him. That's when the whispers began. They came from the stairwell below him, soft at first, then layered, then multiplied. A chorus of voices rose into a wailing crescendo, pleading, accusing, mourning, so loud he clutched his ears, convinced they would start bleeding. The sound crawled into his skull, vibrating his teeth, shaking his breath loose. "Stop! Stop, please!" The stairs twisted. Deus turned and ran upward, up flights of stairs that should not have existed, past doors that flashed memories instead of numbers, faces, beds, promises spoken too casually. Each step grew heavier than the last. Behind him, the women followed. They did not rush. They did not tire. They were patient. Deus burst through the stairwell door at the top and stumbled onto the rooftop. Cold air hit his lungs like a slap. The city sprawled below him, glittering and indifferent, its lights steady and unconcerned with his terror. Divine stood at the edge. As she turned to face him, her form shifted. She was no longer the small-statured woman from the club. She was something older, vast, great and terrible in her beauty. You think you are divine? She scoffed. Such arrogance. The women began to emerge behind him, filling the rooftop in silence. Faces he knew, faces he had tried to forget, eyes that held disappointment, grief, fury, emotions he had never stayed long enough to name. There was nowhere left to run. Deus backed towards the ledge, heart hammering, breath coming apart in his chest. Just as the heels of his shoe brushed the edge, the pressure behind him ceased. The sea of women stilled. The crowd parted, and she stepped forward. The only woman he could honestly say ever held a piece of his shallow heart. She approached him slowly, reverently, as if this moment deserved care. When she looked into his face this time, her eyes were the way he remembered them, soft, human, the way they had been when she was still beautiful, before he had shattered the last fragile piece of who she was. She gave him a weak smile, and a single tear slipped from his eye, uninvited, heavy with everything he had refused to feel. She placed her hand on his chest, gentle, intimate, and pushed. As he fell, Deus did not scream. He did not feel the impact of the concrete. He did not feel pain. He didn't feel anything at all. As the world faded to black, his head rolled gently to the side. Divine and Mara stood at the edge of his dissolving sight. Mara looked to Divine, not afraid, not angry, only asking. Divine gave her a single approving nod. Mara stepped forward and knelt beside him. She offered him her hand, and Deus took it. She pulled him to his feet with surprising ease. "I'm sorry," he whimpered. "I'm so sorry." Her expression didn't soften. "It's all over now," Mara said. She turned and led him forward. Divine opened the gate, but Deus could not see what lay beyond. The darkness swallowed him, and the door closed behind them without a sound. It's easy to play with the hearts of others, far more difficult to look into your own and face what stares back. To err is human, but to forgive is divine. And yet the hardest forgiveness is often that which we deny ourselves, especially when we refuse to see the harm we've done. But that lesson can wait for another day. You may leave the room if you like. The door is exactly where you remember it. Do your best to survive the night. I will see you when you return.